Okay, it is Monday, it is 2 p.m. and I am sat in a corner of the new office for Sewdirect. Now, if you watched last week's video, you will know all of this context, so feel free to skip forward. If you did not, here's a 30-second reminder of where we are at. Sewdirect now has its own little unit where we're going to do the print, pack, post of orders from the Sewdirect website. This business was previously operating out of a little corner of the Patter office, which is still in place, literally across the road. If I lean backwards, I can see our windows for that office from here. The move happened over the weekend. We're in a unit now which allows us to run this e-commerce business as a totally separate business, which means it's not getting in the way of the Patter operations. Everything in the Patter office is continuing as normal, or at least it would be if there wasn't the big building fire in the third building on this estate this time last week, which, again, if you watched last week's video, you'll know all about that. That fire knocked out the internet for both this building and the Patter office over there, and both of our businesses rely a lot on the internet. And so it's been a big, long, complicated week to get to this point where this building and this office and this kind of print, pack, post setup now works with some internet. The Patter office currently still has no internet, but there is a Starlink on that building now, which means that at some point today, once we figure it out, there will be internet there as well. I think that's the context of where we're at and why I'm sat on a tiny little desk in the corner of a random office that isn't my usual office. This is going to be a busy week. So today, my to-do list, which I am looking at now, is just endless. Lots to do to get up to speed from last week because, of course, the fire and the office move and everything else, no internet, means that I'm kind of running behind from last week. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we have a business partner of one of the businesses here in Wales for a board meeting of sorts. When that person is in Wales, we're also going to be visiting a couple of partners or potential partners and suppliers of this business, Sewdirect. We're also then going to be looking at larger warehouse units to move into in the near future, because as great as this space we're in right now is to get Sewdirect out of the Patter office to give Patter its own space back, this space is nowhere near big enough for what we need for Sewdirect in the very near future. So looking at warehouse spaces, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think are just normal days in the office. So hopefully I'll have a chance to sit down with you and bring you a little bit up to speed more generally with life. And then this weekend, I will likely be spending some time doing life admin stuff, because last week was such a mess that my life is kind of in turn a bit of a mess as a result. And some time preparing for the podcast guest episodes that I am recording at the end of next week. So although those recordings are still 2 weeks away, I need to read 2 books between now and next Friday and prepare for a talk that I'm giving in somewhere like Basingstoke maybe next Thursday. You can tell from the way I'm jumping around that there is a lot going on right now, but as sporadic as everything I just said might seem, as much of a mess as last week was, if you saw that episode, today is the day when I win back the momentum that I need so badly and kind of claw back the control of the week, right? Last week ran away with itself because of everything that happened. We had to fight to get things kind of back on the straight and narrow. This week is incredibly busy, but today's the day where I set the tone to make sure that everything is going in the right direction and is back on track and is within my control and stuff gets done, right? That's the main thing. This week, with all of the big deadlines in both the businesses, with everything that's going on, with how stretched I'm going to be in the next few weeks with travel and talking and podcasts and whatever else, what happens this week is going to matter for weeks to come. So my plan now, because this is the only office that has internet as of 2 p.m. on Monday, is to carry on working from this unit and then later on today go back to the Patter office, finish up the day, and I will catch up with you properly at some point. But that's what we're doing this week. That's the plan. It's going to be a better week than last week. I'm manifesting it, and I'll keep you up to date as we go. So see you soon. Okay, it's Tuesday night, and this video isn't the video that you were going to be seeing for today's little summary of what I've been up to and what I've been thinking, because I recorded that out there a couple of hours ago on my way back from the gym, and yet when I went to watch it just now, and forgive me for the noise you're about to hear because it's really annoying, this is what happened to the audio. So instead of you getting to hear a kind of in the moment summary of what I did today and what's going on and all the updates, you can't see that because there's no audio. So I guess I'm going to have to do it again now just before going to sleep. The time is 11:15. And today has been a really long day, one where I've struggled to get much filmed to update you on much. But here's a rough summary of what happened. So today was the day when one of our PLC clients announced their full year results. And that means that there was lots of information that had to be released to the market on their website at 7 a.m. Now, because that information is insider information, none of that could be in any way public prior to 7 a.m. But because investors would then be heading to the website to learn more information as soon as that announcement was made, at 7 a.m. it had to all go live very quickly. And this happens twice a year for this client, once during their half-year results and once for their full-year results. Today was the full-year results. And that means that, very uncharacteristic of me, because I do not do early mornings, at 6:15 this morning, my alarm went off. I was up and working. I say up, I was lying in bed on my laptop, working at 6:30 this morning, worked through until just before 10:30 because I had a call at 10 a.m. So worked, call at 10 a.m., left the apartment at 10:30, travelled to meet a potential new supplier for one of the businesses in Newport at just after 11. I got there, had that meeting, travelled back to near the office, viewed a couple of potential warehouse spaces for Sewdirect, and that was a whole mixed bag of buildings, some of which were the right size, some of which were the wrong size, some of which had power, some of which currently didn't have power. One of them that seemed perfect, but they're replacing the roof next year, the landlord, and Sewdirect sells a predominantly paper product, potentially having no roof for a undisclosed, unknown period of time at some point in the future, means that the perfect building for that business is actually now not so perfect. So lots of decisions to make there, lots of number crunching today. And then in the second half of the day, had a meeting with a business partner in the Sewdirect business. And then travelled back to the apartment, had food, went to the gym, sorted a couple of client bits when I was in the gym, which sounds easier said than done. But tonight, Take That played in the stadium next to the gym I go to. And because there were 75,000 people in that stadium, there was no signal. So I got to the gym, sat down because I had a message on my phone, saw that I needed to sort something for a client quite urgently, had no internet and no way of getting connected to the internet in the gym or in the immediate area around the gym. So I had to leave the gym immediately, walk for about 10 minutes into the city, stand outside of a bar called Bonnie Rogues, I think it's called, steal their internet, which was amazing. It was like 150 mega on random free Wi-Fi. So sorted the issue there on my phone, then walked back to the gym, then did a kind of chest, shoulder, bicep, tricep day. Don't know what you'd call that, but I've downloaded a new app to work on a new plan and just targeting very specific muscles, because honestly, I don't care to be like the most superhuman, amazing physique person. I just want to look a bit better with my top off, right? So that's where we're at. Did the gym, came back to the apartment, did some more number crunching on all the stuff that happened today. And that's all because tomorrow, well, hopefully I will be able to film more or show you more, is a day-long session for Sewdirect, looking at lots of future planning, looking at lots of projections and forecasts, making some big decisions on a couple of different projects within that business. And so just getting all prepared for that. The time now is 11:20. I need to sort out some washing, which is drying out there, just hang it up so that when I wake up in the morning, that's sorted. Plan tomorrow, because if there's one thing you need to know about me, is that I plan every single day the night before. I have done it religiously for about 7 years of life. I never miss a day. I even plan my days off. It is my like crutch, and it keeps me way more productive than if I just roll into a day not knowing what I'm doing. So there are a couple of client bits and a couple of content bits that need to get done tomorrow around the day-long meeting, kind of planning the beginning and the end of the day with that meeting in the middle. Then out for food with a couple of people tomorrow night. It's a work dinner, so nothing too exciting. And so I'll do my best to catch up with you a bit more tomorrow. But I promise the original video for today was way more interesting than whatever I just said. And there was more aesthetic-y backdrops. I was walking through the city and past the stadium, but you're going to have to put up with me in this weirdly lit bedroom. I mean, look, you can see the city out there. I suppose that's something, but I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to get some sleep, and hopefully tomorrow is a good day. See you then. You know, I am historically bad at doing this. I always, when I begin this kind of vlog, get like 2 or 3 days into the week and then realize I haven't filmed in a while. So then never film the second half of the week, and then the first half of the week never makes it into a video, and then I never release this kind of video. I really liked last week's vlog. I meant what I said in it, which is that I want to do these for as many weeks as I can to try and show you the behind the scenes of building stuff and doing unusual things. And so despite the fact that today is now Friday and I didn't film on Wednesday, nor did I film on Thursday, even if this is a short video, I'm gonna check in with you now, tell you what I've been up to for the last couple of days, and just keep this moving, because last week was interesting. I think next week is going to be interesting. Lots of work, lots of meetings, a talk somewhere, a trip to London, a podcast guest recording, lots to show you next week. So it would be pointless to miss a week this week just because things aren't all that filmable. Now, that's not to say that things aren't happening, but Tuesday, I told you, I had a day-long meeting. Wednesday was another very immersive day-long meeting for Sewdirect, and we made a decision on the next steps for the fulfillment and logistics of that business, because what comes next is a lot more stock and in turn a lot more orders, and as such we need a solution to that. I'm not going to tell you exactly what that solution is yet, because you're going to see quite often, I think, in these videos that you'll see me making decisions, but I don't think I'll always necessarily disclose what those decisions are straight away, just because some of them are commercially sensitive, right? We're not the only consultancy agency in the world. We're not the only sewing retailer in the world. So it would be unwise for me to tell you everything, but I'll try and tell you and show you as much as I can. So we made a decision on that, which was really important. Wednesday's session was very forward-looking, very future planning, very getting ducks into rows or chickens into order, or whatever the saying is. There is lots and lots and lots to do on that business, but I'm very excited to have a much clearer vision of where we go for the next 2, 3, or 4 steps. That was Wednesday. Thursday morning, we finally now have proper, reliable internet back in the Patter office, which is where I am now. That sounds like a minor development, but given that the fire was 12-ish days ago, to now finally be properly connected, which means I can sit at my desk and be very intentional with how I work. Everybody else here can work in a familiar place in a way they know, is a big development. So that's good news. Now, it's not our internet provider and it's not the solution we want, but it's something, and it means that we have internet. And I just had a phone call actually and learned that progress is being made with restoring our proper fiber connection to this and the other building. So that's good news. Because of that, yesterday was literally just a day where I solidly sat at my desk and worked through everything that I needed to for yesterday, and caught up on so much stuff that it has been difficult to do, either due to the internet or due to the 2 days worth of meetings back to back on Tuesday and Wednesday. So there was nothing to show you, really. And then I went to watch Backrooms in the cinema with some friends. Shittest film I've ever seen. I've got no review. What a pointless film. If you've watched it, tell me down there what you thought of it. I think it was rubbish. I think it was a metaphor for the brain, but it was shit. That's all I've got to say. And so now it is Friday, and in front of me here is my to-do list, and there is lots to do. The time is actually 20 to 1 now, so I've been going over a few hours, but I figured, like I said at the beginning of this clip, if I'm going to make this week's video work, I need to tell you something. And so here I am. I've got a few hours worth of work to do and sort out a bit of life admin. And then I'm out tonight. I'm out all day tomorrow, so probably won't film. And then I think on Sunday, because I've been craving this so badly, I'm going to do a giant life admin day where I just sort out all of the loose ends in life, work a little bit on some future planning for both the businesses, begin preparing for next week's talk and next week's podcast guest recordings, and then chill, I guess. So I might check in with you later today if anything else interesting happens. If not, it will be a Sunday video. This will be a short one, but either way, we're keeping the momentum going. I'm not letting myself not release this video just because there hasn't been a lot to film, and we'll be back next week with much more to show you. But in the meantime, I've got stuff to do, so I'll catch up with you later on or on Sunday. Not sure which. See you soon. Okay, it's Sunday, it's 10:20, and if I look tired and rough, that would be because I am tired and rough. But today has been useful. So I had the whole of yesterday off, just spent some time with a friend, chilled, did no work, did nothing useful, and that's kind of what I needed to do on Saturday. Whereas today has been the total opposite. I have had the life admin day of all life admin days because I have a theory. And if there's only one useful takeaway you take from this very short video, I'm going to drop it in a minute, because there is a philosophy of sorts behind the day that I've had today and all of the life admin that I think sits a few levels deeper than just I did some life admin. You'll see what I mean. So I woke up, I did some pondering and some planning of some big questions that are on my mind. I then had some breakfast. Then I went into the city, bought some workout clothes, did a few bits in town that I needed to do, then gave a friend a lift home from dropping their car off at a car dealership. Then went to the office, tidied both offices entirely, like fully reset them, so that the Sewdirect office tomorrow is totally ready to go from a production perspective after the 2 weeks of disruption that we've had from the office move and the fire, and that the Patter office is just fully back to where it used to be. Nice, neat, tidy, ready for people to come in on a Monday morning and work. It feels like a nicer space now. I've even started doing this thing that I said I'd do as of today, which is just every Monday morning. I did it on a Sunday today because I needed to buy a vase. Just buying a big set of flowers to sit in a vase in the middle of the office, just so it feels a bit nicer and a bit more welcoming. Did all of that, then came back to Cardiff, phoned my mum because I haven't spoken to her properly in a good few days now. Did probably, if you were doing it at home, like 6 loads of washing, but I used one of those big industrial laundrette machines, so it turned into 2 loads of washing, which still cost £60, crazy. But did all of my washing from the apartment, all of my washing from the holiday I went on a few weeks ago, some other bits that just needed washing, and I could have just done all that in the apartment, but the apartment washing machine is tiny, and I don't have the time to be washing a load of clothes, then hanging them up, then washing more, hanging it up. I just thought I'd deal with it all whilst getting on with other stuff. Washed the outside of the car, hoovered my car, cleaned my car, emptied all the rubbish from my car, and now I am going back up to the apartment to finish tidying the apartment, have a bath, plan next week, plan all my travel for next week, get ready for bed, and sleep. Now, what do I mean that there's a philosophy behind this, and what do I mean that I may actually be telling you something slightly interesting in this otherwise fairly uneventful video? Well, I have this concept that 90% of self-improvement is actually just self-maintenance, because 90% of becoming the person you want to be is having a foundation of who you already are, is having a foundation of the way you show up in life, the way you approach your appearance, the way you approach your nutrition, your fitness, the way you tidy your spaces, the daily existence that you have, which is the thing that you need to rely on to move to the next level of life, is nothing about self-improvement. It's about self-maintenance. The majority of doing better in life is making sure that you're first taking care of what's under your nose. There's that chapter in the Jordan Peterson book about the idea that before you go out and try and change the world, you should first tidy your bedroom. And I think when Jordan Peterson wrote those words, he meant them both as a metaphor, but also quite literally. Who are we to have big expectations of ourselves if our bedrooms are a mess? How can we expect to perform at our best if our sleep or our diet is a mess? How can we possibly have the mental clarity to go out and do big, useful, interesting, constructive things if everything around us is in chaos? And the past few weeks, I've actually documented the last 2 weeks, so you can kind of go back and watch this video and the previous one to see what I mean. There has been so much up in the air. Getting back from a 10-day holiday, meaning that I was already kind of lacking momentum and structure. First day back, that office fire, then no internet, then moving office to Sewdirect, then traveling and meetings, and then having a 2-day intensive session this week, which pulled me away from any kind of doing work. All of that means that there just has not been the time to reset my life. And maybe I'm unusual, but I thrive when all of the predictable things around me are predictable, when everything has a place and is orderly, so I can use all of my mental capacity to just go and think about the big things I need to think about, to do the things I need to do, as opposed to worrying about when that thing over there is going to be tidied and why that thing over there is a mess, and so on. And so these life admin days, which I try to do once a month, and they're not normally as all-encompassing as today, it's just that things really have been a mess recently, do sit a few layers deeper than just I washed a load of clothes, or I reset the apartment, or I cleaned my car. They sit at a level where I know that tomorrow, Monday morning, will be a really clean break from the mess of the past few weeks. And it means that for all that I need to get done next week, for all that I expect myself next week, for all of the hopes I have for next week, after the past 2 weeks of mess, where this coming week might actually be the week where I get that momentum to begin pushing into the second half of the year, I'm far better placed. So that was my week. This has been a really uneventful video, but if you made it this far, second of this style of vlog, let me know what you think in the comments. It's intentionally not very exciting. It's intentionally just me thinking out loud like this. But if you've made it this far, I appreciate you. If you haven't already, please do make sure that you're subscribed, because this is a new channel and I'm sure there are very few people here right now. I can't tell because you're watching this in the future, but I'm sure there aren't many people on this channel 2 videos in. So if you are here, please do subscribe. Next week is a far busier one. In the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Up very early Thursday to travel to High Wycombe. Got a talk in High Wycombe, wherever that is, on Thursday midday. Then travelling to London. In London Thursday. Waking up in London Friday morning to record a podcast with somebody very exciting who you'll see in next week's video. Then back to Wales on Friday evening. Saturday, Sunday, no idea what I'm doing, but this is all to say that I apologise that this video hasn't been that interesting and not that much has happened. It's been a very productive week, but that doesn't translate into an interesting video. Next week, hopefully, if you can return this time next week to watch the next video, I can promise you there's going to be a lot more going on. You're going to see a lot more, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting. But in the meantime, thank you for making it this far into this video. Have a good week. And I'll see you this time next week.